All right. Hello and welcome back to the Social Media Magic Podcast. My name is Brittany Rolanich. So glad you're here. I'm a social media strategist, but honestly, just a total content marketing nerd. And I'm really excited about my guest today because I think she's done something really incredible. She has had a really unique way of reaching new people, of selling her products directly on social media, which is something that many people say you can't do. Many people say you can't really sell resources on TikTok or Instagram. Social media is a waste of time. Obviously, I don't believe that, or I wouldn't have put so much time and effort into creating a brand around that. But I think that Grace is just such a good example of that. So welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get started and just kind of share what's going on to help other friends out.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. And I was telling her that before I was like, oh no, don't tell too much because there's already good stuff there. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to make you repeat yourself. But first of all, I think it's actually really impressive how young you are. We were talking a little bit about age, and I'll share why I think that's important and relevant afterwards. But would you mind just sharing a little bit of that again about how you got started, when you got started, and how long you've been doing really not just teaching, but business stuff as well?
Yeah, for sure. I have a full timeline for this. So the crazy thing is I am only 23. I turned 24 in November, so if that helps any. But I've been working in the classroom since I was 16, basically. I started off getting into the classroom mainly because my mother was a teacher, and I'm originally from Georgia. And in Georgia, they had this amazing program where students could go to college while they were in high school. So while I was earning my associates in business, I had all this free time. I was like, you know what? I would love to be in the classroom. That's something I'm really interested in. So I would go and volunteer in the classroom with our special education. So anyway, I started doing that and I really loved it. And then once I graduated high school, I was like 3 semesters away from this accounting degree. And I was like, you know what? I really miss the classroom. I want to go back to that. So I changed my major to elementary education and I began working and going into the classroom and getting this unique experience. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit. And I was like, great, wonderful. There's no way I can get in the classroom now. But, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's like my favorite thing to say. And one thing that COVID offered teachers, there were many negatives, but the one positive I found in COVID was being able to actually go in the classroom on my own as a substitute teacher. And when I tell you, I was like, should I do this? But I took a chance and I did it. And that gave me the ability to work with all different types of grade levels, all the way up to middle school. And my main focus was elementary education. But at the time, I just wanted to serve and help teachers out in the pandemic because so many teachers were either sick or out with loved ones who were sick. So they needed this, there was this demand of long-term substitutes. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity. And once I started substituting, my college, Georgia Southern University, came out with this amazing scholarship. It's called the EDGE Scholarship. And it was for 2 students to enroll, apply for, and they would actually get to become first-year teachers if they got the scholarship. So while I was substituting, I was like, no way, like maybe I'll apply to this and let's see what happens. And luckily I did get that scholarship and I began teaching my senior year of college. And then I kept teaching after that and absolutely loved it. But for unseen circumstances, I did have to leave the classroom. And that was really upsetting, even though it was due to some health problems that I was having. Like I said, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And so I really thought, like, what can I do to connect back to the classroom? What really inspires me and gets me excited? And I love to create resources. So I was like, what if I just tried this? What is it going to hurt to start posting? I mean, yeah, you may look a little silly at first, but what if this actually connects and empowers teachers and I make something of this? And I've just been so thankful to connect with so many different teachers and to build this teacher drive because it is making a difference for teachers. So I'm just excited to be here and tell you guys a little bit more about that.
I'm excited too. And I was saying this before, but I want to say it again that one of the reasons that I reached out to you, well, a couple of reasons. One is that many people have this belief, I think it's a limiting belief, that you can't make money with social media, that social media is like this fun extra thing. It's not really required. It's kind of a waste of time. It's a nice to have, but it's not really a need to have. And I do know that there are different business models. So some people are influencers and they work with brands or they focus on affiliate marketing, they do ads or they get sponsored posts, although it's becoming more and more rare. There are some people who are content creators those are really more like freelancers and they're creating content for companies. So like maybe they partner with a company and they create some reels or short form videos for them. And I guess I'm more on that side because I either work with sellers to do that or I work with brands to do that, which is fine. But yours is unique because you're actually selling your products directly with your TikToks. And I actually like went through and I remember thinking like she's doing all the classic stuff and you're really saying like you're not having to come up with that many new ideas in a way because you're selling the same thing over and over again. So I think what's also really cool is that your stuff is very duplicable. Like someone could look at that, they figure out the format and they're like, oh, I could do exactly what she's doing if I just get the practice. So tell us about that. What is it exactly that you are selling on TikTok and how are you using videos to do that? And also I want to know, how did you arrive at that? Were you playing on TikTok at first and then you decided to create? Like, how did that come to be?
Okay, this is gonna sound totally like, I don't even know the word for it, extraordinary maybe. So when I left the classroom, like I was saying earlier, I was like, what do I do next? And I have seen teachers do teacher drives before. And I was like, you know what? Teachers pay teachers. I love teachers pay teachers, but that's a lot of work to put for one individual product. I was like, what if I created a drive and just started putting resources in there and selling off of TikTok, Instagram? Let's see what happens. And I'm not gonna lie, when I started it, but like a side story to this, when I began doing this, I was only getting like 70 views on TikTok. Like it was kind of embarrassing. I was like, oh my goodness, like the guy that I date, we would laugh and be like, I need to stop. Like this is just embarrassing. But something kept saying in the back of my head, like, what if you don't stop? What if you keep posting every day? And what if this one day like finally hits? Because if it hits, you're gonna make a difference with teachers. And my biggest thing I tell my friends all the time is a lot of people don't see, I guess, like the potential in social media, like you were talking about. They see it as more like this fun. They're more so the user of social media. They're not really the creator. And I tell my friends now, and maybe this is not like the best analogy, but way back in the day, a lot of people were like told, like, you should invest in Apple, you should invest in these companies. And a lot of people didn't invest. They were like, okay, I don't even know what that is. I am telling all my friends right now, if you are interested or even like have a mustard seed of interest, go for it because this is going to be something you want to invest in. And I'm saying that because I started this in December 2023 and it's July 2024. And just to see how much this has grown has been incredible. And the more I read about social media, the more I look into it, social media is something that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so if you hop on that right now and you start, maybe this is going to be like Apple and you're going to not have to kick yourself in 5 years and say like, oh man, I should have invested in this. Like, go ahead and give it a try. And my question to you is like, what is the worst that can happen? If you keep posting a video every day, what is the worst that can happen? Like, you got to kind of throw those, I guess, like those anxiety thoughts away and really just focus on like the what if in a positive aspect. Because if you do that, your potential is going to be limitless and you got to believe in yourself. Even when you're at those 70 views and it's a little embarrassing, keep going, keep trying. And I promise you'll find your people and your niche on TikTok or Instagram or whatever you're working on. But a little bit back to the teacher drive, I will say the one thing I like about doing the teacher drive, how you're able to copy it. A lot of people say like niche down, niche down. And that is true in a lot of different aspects. So my teacher drive is a niche of its own, I think, because it offers those teacher resources, but I'm kind of able to like manipulate the algorithm in a way as like being able to not just show to preschool teachers or kindergarten teachers. I'm able to expand the audience up to about 5th grade, 6th grade, and I still get teachers from all different ranges as well. So definitely niche down and think about a product that you can do over and over again, but also that's going to make a difference to your audience and something you're going to be really passionate about to keep going.
Yeah, I love that. Well, first of all, I want to speak to the what I usually call like delusional confidence. And I mean that in the best way, right? When you just said like, I had the voice in my head, I was only getting 70 views. Despite that, I kept making it. You really have to have a vision to be able to succeed on social media. I really do believe that. And a vision doesn't mean that you have to have it crystal clear, that you have to have a vision board, you have to know exactly how many followers you have. I don't mean that because I actually don't believe, depending on the model, for your model, it totally makes sense. You need to have reach. If you have more followers, it helps you to get seen. But that part doesn't matter. I believe you can actually succeed even if you don't have a lot of followers. It just depends on what you're doing and what you're selling on there. But the fact that you had that belief that surpassed the understanding of what you see, I think that is a lesson for anybody, no matter whether you're on social media or not. If you're focusing on your blog, if you're focusing on YouTube, you need to have that because no matter what, you're always starting at zero on any platform. And it's always going to be weird and embarrassing because you're like, wow, I'm out here talking to nobody. And in the beginning, you're also doing a lot of work, not always for a lot of money, and you're not getting all the views. You're not getting people reaching out to you with opportunities and things like, and that is really hard to do it despite that. And it's
Yeah,
also
there were so many days I'd be like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be what hits. This is going to help teachers. And then it'd get like maybe 100 views. I'd be like, oh, we'll try again tomorrow. But I do want to say back to like having that mindset. I was a teacher, and one thing I always taught my students was a growth mindset. And you have to have that kind of mindset. And my belief as a teacher was if I'm going to preach this to my students, I have to believe that as well. And even though I left the classroom till this day, I'm still all about a growth mindset, because a growth mindset can take you to endless possibilities. So I definitely agree 100% with you on that topic as well.
I love that. And I also wanted to speak to the niche because I think sometimes we kind of have a disservice in the TPT, teacherpreneur world. I'm expanding that because obviously you're not just on TPT. You have a TPT store though too, right? Am I missing?
I did
Yeah, okay,
start a
you have it too.
TPT store, and it can be really difficult because TPT has so many different regulations and rules you have to follow. And I feel that's what kind of discourages a lot of people on Teachers Pay Teachers. So I do try to play around with Teachers Pay Teachers. But my biggest thing is that I've really like found with creating my resources and things is I talk to different teachers every day, all day. And their biggest thing is like, I love that you have a resource that's $20, because that's really what my teacher budget allows me for. And a lot of teachers love Teachers Pay Teachers, and sometimes schools do pay like to have Teachers Pay Teachers to help with, but for the average teacher, that's usually not true. So I like to do a little bit of both. Which way can I help you, and whichever way you want to go with this? If you feel more confident purchasing my resources on Teachers Pay Teachers, because it is a better secure payment if you don't really know who I am and don't really like know if I'm real. But if you want to take a chance and you look at my comments and you see this is real, then just go with the teacher drive. So I like to offer those alternatives to help which teacher and kind of fit their needs.
Yeah, and I love like with the niche. So that's super cool. And I love that in a way you kind of do have a personal brand, right? Because people are able to connect with you personally. On TikTok, you can talk directly to people and then they can see whether or not, okay, do I vibe with this girl? Do I trust her? Or am I going to buy from her? But then there's that added layer of trust. Like some people, they go on TPT, even if a seller has like resources on their website, sometimes they still pick TPT because they already have their payment information there. They have like the added layer of protection. I was actually just like, I'm just going through right now this morning, going through some Fiverr drama, which Fiverr is kind of like TPT, but for service providers. So it's like you can go buy, like, get a blog post written or videos made or whatever. And even though Fiverr is kind of annoying in my end, like, not to speak against them, I think that's great for buyer. It's annoying on the seller end, but I'm still willing to be there, even though I offer services off of there because I want for people to go find me on there, right? So it's like, I understand that the marketplace, having some secure name is so helpful for people to make that buying decision. So I think that's really smart that you're on TPT as well. But with the niche thing, many sellers are only told to niche by grade or by subject, right? So it's like, I'm
Yeah,
third
I
grade
know.
math, I'm fifth grade ELA, I'm 10th grade biology. But the problem with that is those aren't actually the only ways to niche. You can also niche by the method of practice. So like, do you offer something unique in the way that the student or the customer experiences? So like, I don't know if you remember escape rooms. Like, I feel like escape rooms were super hot like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know who first came out with that, but whoever did, they did not realize they were starting this whole trend. And then all of a sudden, every seller I knew was doing escape rooms, right? So, I mean, like escape rooms is really its own thing now, but it started because, and now you have different kinds like Google Forms, you have Google Slide escape rooms, like classified ones, there's all kinds of different ones. But someone thought to do that, to kind of like gamify the teaching experience. And so now that became its own classification. So that's kind of a niche within itself. And so if you only did escape rooms, then you can do all kinds of grades and subjects because that's your niche, right? So there's
And I
different
think
ways to
that's a
niche.
unique way to kind of get a wider audience, because not that, I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of teachers on social media, and you can definitely find a huge audience just for first grade math, sixth grade reading, like you were saying. But I think you're able to sneak in a bigger audience when you are able to give resources to all different grade levels. And like you were saying, just kind of focus on that one topic.
And then on top of that, on top of like what the actual product is, because yours is so cool because they have that all in one, is also the user experience, right? So it's like, okay, Now it's like the niche is also the drive itself. Like that is the niche of like being able to go into one place. And I just think about teachers, I think we can sometimes forget, especially if you're a millennial or if you're a Gen Z, like we're so used to tech in our daily lives. I am literally on a million different messaging apps every day. I'm on like all these different sites. But if you're a teacher, maybe who's a little bit older, maybe you're Gen X, maybe you're a boomer. And I'm not saying that like as a mean thing. It's just if you didn't grow up with it, then you don't have an experience. And maybe you've been teaching for so long, you only log into things online when you absolutely have to. So Google Drive, I mean, Google's honestly even new. I remember in the pandemic, I was teaching people how to use Google Docs because people never used it before. Right now, all of a sudden, we're having to do it. So Google
Yeah.
Drive, it's like some teachers just barely figured out how to use that. And it's like, I can do that. Okay, that's accessible. I can go to one place. I don't have to go to all these different places to find resources. And you said something else earlier that really spoke to me, like having you, that's your budget, $20, and you have everything in one place. You're not having to go and spend like $3 here, $7 here. Oh, now I need something for this.
That was my other thing. Sorry to cut you off. That was
That's
my
okay.
other thing on teachers pay teachers. As a teacher, I'm not knocking teachers pay teachers. I love them. I have like purchased so much for them over the years of teaching. But my thing was I would buy resources and then it's in a list. And maybe they update this one day or maybe they have and I just don't know about it. But I would start scrolling and I'd be like, wait, what do I have? What did I buy? Or I'd search the bar and then I couldn't find what I needed. And I feel like the drive is so helpful because first of all, I have the folders to like organize different resources. But also, kind of speaking to that, I feel like if you're a teacher, from my point of view, I would feel like going into this drive is like going on a free shopping spree. Like it's girl math. You paid that $20 and now you can just go pick out resources and choose. And I think it's kind of exciting because I do add new resources each week. And that is my plan to just keep building this all of 2024 and see where it goes.
It's like a buffet, right? It's like it's fun to go a
Yeah.
buffet because you're like, ooh, well, before I was only gonna like buy this one thing, but if I have a buffet, now I'm gonna try everything. Like, so I think it kind of makes, like you said, like to go shopping, it's kind of makes it more fun. And I don't want to discount that. I think like a fun shopping experience is actually really important. Like people are willing to spend money if they think something's valuable. So it's like not only is it more valuable in the eye of the buyer because they're getting more, but also the experience itself is better, right? It's all in one place, it's fun, and you're going to add more
Exactly.
to it. So it's kind of like in the TPT world, what they call a growing bundle, except for that it's on the Google Drive. And by the way, I so admire you for doing that, for putting it all in one place. I like the idea of growing bundles, but I always get stressed out because I'm like, oh, no, I have to make more. And even though I know more people will come back and buy it, it's like I feel like I'm doing the work for free. So I think it's really cool that you're doing it because I know a lot of teachers really like that. Okay, let's talk about TikTok for a second. Let's get a little tactical there. Because if someone goes, and actually, I'm just going to check just for funsies, I'm going to go and check your stats as of today because I remember being like, wow, she's got like pretty wild reach here. Okay. Oh, your profile photo is so cute. Okay.
Thank you.
So you have, yes, you have about 9,000 or almost 10,000 followers, 80,000 likes. So that shows that you have a lot of reach. Reach means for anyone who's new to social media, the people who are seeing the post, which is a different way of thinking about it. Like my generation, even just Instagram a few years ago, it was all about having followers, right? It was like, get more followers, get more people following you. If they're following you, they see your stuff. It's not really like that anymore. Like you have almost 10,000 followers, but you have videos that have been seen by almost 200,000 people. And that's
Yeah.
huge. Like I don't think people understand. You said like the Apple investing thing, and I was like nodding my head along. I don't think people understand the weight of the opportunity they have with social media. Like there's never been a time where you could get free advertising like this. Like you would have had to pay for a billboard back in the day. You would have had to pay for like the yellow page listings, which like I'm sure my Gen Z friends are even like, what's that? There's this giant book, and you had to put your like your business name and your email. It's absolutely wild to me, and
And I
people don't
do want
realize
to
it.
say really quickly, sorry to cut you off. I'm going to tell you my favorite thing about how you're talking about have to pay things. TikTok offers to like pay for followers and pay for views. I've never done that. And you don't need to do that because that's going to mess up your views. That's going to mess up that organic group of audience you're trying to find. So that's what's even better about this is because some people are like, oh, I have to pay to promote. I have to pay to do this. You really don't have to pay for anything. So I just wanted to squeeze that in there too, because I know sometimes people are like, oh, do I need to pay? And it's like, no, you really don't. Just keep posting and see what happens.
I love that. And I just wanted to show your profile in case anyone's watching on the YouTube channel or if they're watching on Spotify, because you can get the video episode on Spotify. So I just want to show you, she's also, obviously you're strategic, you know what you're doing. She also pinned, like these are the videos that have like the most reach, right? So she had this video, she pinned almost 132,000 views. This one's 184,000. And let's just actually watch it real quick. I'll put it on mute, hopefully, so it's not super loud. Oh, this one's actually, is this a carousel?
Yeah, carousels. Okay, this is what I'm going to talk about really quickly.
Go for
If
it.
you're trying to make a quick audience, I like to do like 2 slides. That's all it takes because then that just gives you a higher completion rate of that video. And that really is the trick. And not that I'm like trying to trick anyone, but it's just a great strategy to go through. And it's a great way for people to see really quickly what you're about. Because I will say, I've been doing my master's in design and technology, and I learned a little bit about when you're designing things about how you want people to view your things. And you want something quick, easy, and eye-catching. You want to follow a certain format for people's eyes to follow that's really smooth for them. So a carousel is a great way to do that. And I will say my carousels do better. I've been trying to make my videos do better right now because I've heard that they have a longer life on the shelf. So I've been trying to see how that goes and play around with it right now. And we'll see what happens.
I also just like see like I think in like a copywriting way, right? Because that's how I've created content for clients. It's like I'm always thinking, how can I make every post almost like a sales page, right? And I feel like you are very, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I think you're very salesy because you're direct. You're like, this is what it is. Do you want it? Like, here it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's working. Like, so I'm just going to read this in case anyone's listening. So you have the first one, and I don't know how to make it automatic. I'm also on a desktop. Obviously, if I was on TikTok for Realsies, I would be on my phone. So it's also different being on desktop. But first image says stop the blurting, teacher swipe. So you're giving that call to action for them to actually engage with the content. That is something that's really actionable that I think anybody could take away from this, whether you're creating a carousel post on Instagram or TikTok. It's like you have to ask for the engagement, right? Like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to comment? Do you want them to swipe? It's like, why should they even stop? So stop the blurting. That's like something teachers can relate to too, right? It's like, oh yeah, I hate it when the students do that. So it's like, how do I do that? And then you give a solution, right? Use the blurt B game to stop them from blurting. I don't know what the perfect for. And then comment teacher drive. And I just go in the comments here, teacher drive. And you're so strategic with it. It looks like maybe you have do you have the responses saved in your phone at all? Or do you have them saved somewhere?
This is gonna sound so unorganized. I usually try to type it, and then if I have a lot of people at the same time, because the one thing I don't like about TikTok is I love to use the automated messages on Instagram. TikTok does not do that for you. And TikTok can be very mean sometimes. If you comment too much or too fast, which is insane to me, they'll shut you down. They'll be like, no more comments for the day. And you're just sitting there like, what? I have people to respond to. And it does that with messages as well. So I always try to like type the message and then start copying and going through and like saying like, share this, message me. That way I can kind of create like a slower response time, but still be quick enough for the person that's needing this resource without getting in trouble with TikTok, because TikTok's they're a little strict on that. So you have to be really careful how quickly you comment and to make it not look like you're a robot just sending message after message.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't even mute myself. Yeah. Instagram is like that too, that they get kind of weird if you respond too quickly or if you comment too much or if you send messages really quickly. Now, they've gotten a little better with that now that there's like apps like LinkedIn and ManyChat where you can automate these processes. But for the longest time, they would get on you if you did that. And I totally get it because they're trying to reduce the amount of spam and scammers. And I'm all for that, right? Like I want there to be fewer of those. But yeah, it's really frustrating because this is a really interesting stat I just learned recently. The average customer expects a response time of 10 minutes or less. Isn't
Yeah.
that wild, right? Like if
I have had I to speak on this, and this is not against anyone that has ever worked with me, but there have been times I've been asleep at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and someone messages me and I don't see it till the next morning. And they're like, I'm gonna report this account. And I'm like, oh, please don't. I was just sleeping. Like I couldn't send you a message. But it's just that's really funny because I think we do live in a world where everything's so direct and instant. You kind of have to be on your toes if you're going to play this game of social media. You got to get ready. And it's kind of like, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to a firefighter because they do way more work, but you got to be ready to go and ready to spring into action.
Yeah, totally. So I just want to say, it's really smart. I can see why you're succeeding. Just let me pause. Okay, so on the second slide, she has, I want to describe it for someone who can't see. So she has the use this blurpy game to stop students to support students to stop blurting. So I like that. And she also has a screenshot. And I think that's really helpful because a lot of people have wondered, how do we sell digital resources? So that's something you can kind of take of right now. It's like she literally just has the laptop open, two slides. She has a picture, like an actual picture of her computer showing the slides. And so that helps the teacher see, what am I going to see? Because that's exactly what they're going to see when they open it. So that's really good. And then the third one, comment teacher drive for a message with link on how to access the teacher drive. These slides are now in my teacher drive that has over 1,600 pages of resources. I see that and I'm like, wow, 1,600 pages, that's a lot. Like I'm going to get a lot for my money. So I can tell that you're definitely strategic with the calls to action you use. And then looking at the comments, I noticed that you say, please message with a little wave and I'll message back with the link. Is that because you can't send the link unless you're both connected on TikTok?
My big thing is sometimes people have like a private message and you have to follow them. And my thing is like, I would love to follow everyone, but sometimes you can't follow people because of your niche. And I think that's really important for buyers to understand. It's like, it's not that we don't want to follow you, but you have to be very strategic at who you're following with your niche and make sure all they post is teacher content too. So by saying like, please message the wave, when they send that to you, that opens up the chat. And a lot of times if people don't have that requirement and they are just like open for other messages, I'll usually go ahead and send. But I usually do put that message there just to make sure they know like, hey, I cannot send you the message because you're private. So message me first. And I think that helps even more because sometimes it creates a little thread there and they comment back like, oh, I just messaged. And then you're like, okay, thank you so much. So then that gives you more comments on that post as well.
Yeah, it's helpful. And I'm assuming that TikTok, I've only barely just dipped my toe into TikTok, but I assume it's like Instagram in the sense of like the more comments you get on a post, the more likely it's pushed out, the more engagement you get. So it kind of creates that positive feedback loop. So that's great. So thank you for sharing that. That's a really good tip. I didn't know that if someone has a private profile and they don't want to be contacted, which I think is good, right? Because again, you're preventing spam, right? Okay, let's look at this one. There's the other one, and I have to move my Zoom bar again. One second.
And I do want to say something about these videos, these two in particular.
Yeah.
Always the videos that you do not think are going to do anything on social media that just go boom. You like look down and you're like, oh my goodness. When this was one of my first videos that hit over 100,000 views. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was out walking. I'm a big walker. And my phone was blowing up, but I was on my walk. So I was like, you know what? Put your health first. You're gonna walk and then we'll look. And I get back on and I see all these comments. And I'm like, no way, it's happening. Like, it's happening. And then I was like looking at it, I was like, how is it this post? Like, why is it this post that? Because the day I actually posted this, I was like, what am I going to post today? Like, I really didn't have a plan, which is not like me. And so I like threw this together and was like, I'm going to go on my walk and take it easy. And then I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the one. So I do want to say that for people that are just trying, sometimes it's those posts you don't try on that just make it. So yeah.
I've experienced that. I just had that happen the other day. I made a reel, honestly, just kind of playing around. I used this funny Taylor Swift sound, and I was saying how Taylor Swift's a really good marketer. And I got that video got over 11,000 views. And I was like, why? Why this one? Like I was just playing around. But I really
So
do think that's how it is, right? People want to see that you're having fun. Like if you can be silly with it, not that you have to be. I've also seen really serious TikTokers, right? I've seen doctors on there. I've seen like this allergist who's really cool. I don't even have allergies. I just follow him because everything he shares is so interesting, right? I follow linguists. You don't have to be really like silly fun. I think like that was a big misconception I had about TikTok too. Before I got on it, I thought I had to be like in my head what a teacher grammar is because I don't really like have cute outfits. I'm not super glamorous. I really don't think you have to be though. Like for just from seeing the evidence, it's like you just have to know really clearly what your thing is about. And I see before I even
yeah.
click on anything, I can see you're a teacher. You have a very clear call to action, teacher swipe on all your carousels. So you've got that, you figured out that that one works, your hook there. And then, and you do have a cute smile though. You have a really cute smile. You have fun outfits. So I could see like if I was also a young teacher, I'd be really interested. This one's interesting to me. I also love to travel. So I'm always like, ooh, she was like on a glacier. Where is this? This is cool.
Alaska. And I do want to say this was so when I started doing TikTok, like I said, I was like, maybe one day something will happen with this. This week, I don't know if it's the back to school season or what it is, but maybe it was the time I started picking up. I really started picking up in May and June, and this trip was at the beginning of July. And as July started approaching, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to work on vacation. Like, there's no way I can stop because I think once you become a creator on TikTok or Instagram, you learn very quickly you need to be posting every day to keep that audience and to keep
Yeah.
growing. And you kind of get, in a sense, addicted to it. Like I get excited to post every day and I'm ready to see what teachers I can help for the day. So this picture, we had actually went up on a glacier to do a hike on. I love going to Alaska. This is my 4th time going,
Oh,
and we had so much fun, and my whole time I was on this trip, I was like, "You know what? We're gonna use this trip as, a vacation getaway, but also we're gonna be taking some pictures so we can be creating content."
yeah.
And it was a really easy way to take a 3-second picture, and then later on in the cruise, open up my laptop and show the teacher drive and give teachers like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing right now, but guess what? I'm still gonna help you." And I really love that I did this on vacation. I feel like I definitely got the full vacation, but I would dedicate like an hour or 2 a day. People on this cruise would be looking at me like, "What is she doing?" I'd be like, "Maybe they can like look away and like pretend I'm not this person." But I had so many teachers who were so thankful because it is back to school season and teachers are needing these resources. So I was so grateful to have that audience and still be supporting teachers here. And I did meet a lot of teachers on the cruise, and I met a lot of different people who were on TikTok, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, I do TikTok too. Isn't it great?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love it. I'm glad that you get this." But yeah, this was definitely a cool time to work and awesome time to connect with teachers.
I love that I've heard you say like 3 or 4 times, like, I just want to help teachers. I want to connect with teachers. I want to talk to teachers. Like, I think that I can see your heart in that. And I think that really comes through in your content too. Like just from like when I was like, wow, I can tell she really cares and like, and that you're thinking about the problems that teachers have in the classroom, that you're creating resources for them. And the resources are really pretty. Like you really like got the design thing down. So I just think
Thank
it's great.
you.
Also, just a little side note, because I'm from the travel space originally, right? I was a travel content creator before I did anything like this. I'm so used to setting up a tripod in the middle of a busy, plaza. I don't care anymore. I'm totally past the point of caring. But I just wanted to say, like, because you started in the teacher world, that doesn't mean that that's the only content you do. I'm telling you, but also anyone who's watching or listening, you can also add things on. So maybe like Grace decides later on, like, hey, I want to actually do, and maybe you already are, I don't know. So maybe, so ignore me if you are already doing this, but maybe you want to do travel content. Maybe like there's a certain cruise line you like with Alaska, and you're like, hey, I'm going to pitch to them and see if I can get a free cruise or I can get paid and stuff. Have you done any of that yet?
So it's funny you mentioned that. I do not know if this is going to work out. I feel like I'm dreaming big, but I could see it definitely happening. I am thinking of doing a few months in Europe. I've been looking into it. And the reason, okay, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think you have to be a little crazy to do social media anyway. I love connecting with teachers. I have teachers in Ireland that buy this drive. I have 72 different countries that are on this drive or looking at my page. And I think it would be super cool to go around Europe and meet more teachers in Europe and get their perspective on education as well. Because this teacher drive, I will say every state has a teacher that has this drive in the United States, which is crazy to think about. But also, I do have those countries in Europe. I'm like, I would like to see what those teachers know. And I think getting to see their culture and what they're about would be a super interesting way to see like what I can design. And I'm also thinking about, I don't have a lot of history resources. I think it would be cool to go to Europe and create a lot of pictures and create hotspots and create like a storyline to like tell different historical things through those pictures as a resource for teachers to use in the classroom. So this is just an idea. I don't know if it's going to happen. I would say it's like a 50-50 right now. So it really just depends on like how this keeps growing. And also like I'm one of those people, I'm like, I might do it tomorrow or I might do it in 2 years. It just depends on the circumstance, and also it depends on the demand. Like right now there is no way I'm leaving this couch because I'm working on resources every single day. So we got to slow down a little bit, but I'm hoping I'll get to do that eventually.
Okay, well, first of all, we should definitely chat offline sometime because did you know that I host teacher trips in Europe? That's what I do during the summer.
I did not know that. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, hello. So yeah, so that's one thing like I do. Well, and now I'm 35. And so now I'm actually like at the point where I'm like, I think I want to do this a little bit less because, it's just different than when you're in your mid 20s. Like I had more energy 10 years ago. Now I'm like, I want to actually enjoy my bills. Like I want to be in my home, that we're paying for. So yeah, we should definitely chat offline about that. But definitely don't be afraid of being delusional and wanting to do that. I think it's so cool to do a teacher tour. I think also, I'm not a tax advisor. This is not financial advice, disclaimer, but if you're traveling and creating content, you can also claim that on your taxes. I'm just telling you, just telling everybody who's listening.
That is
Okay.
really good to know. I've been keeping up with my I'm like I said, I'm 3 or 4 semesters away. I think it's 3 for my accounting degree. And I will say that's another thing. When you start doing this, you have a lot of people question you, like, what are you doing with your taxes? How is this legal? And I want to say the biggest thing when you start a business is really educate yourself about what you're getting into, because you don't want to play around with taxes. You don't want at the end of the year to look at and wind up owing thousands of dollars and be like, wait, I didn't know I needed to do that. So the biggest thing is, if you are going to start on social media and selling a product kind of like I do, look at what you need to do. First, you need to register your business. You need to get it's like, what number is it called? Like my brain's going blank. There's like a business number they'll give you. And then I keep a spreadsheet of every little thing I do for my business. Like when people purchase this teacher drive, I have a Google form they go through now. That way I have every purchase on that sheet ready to go to show that profit at the end. But also I have another sheet that's like what I'm putting into this business. So anytime I do giveaways, anytime I buy like tripods, anytime like I bought a printer on Prime Day, I put that on my sheet because you want to write some things off, because taxes can get a little crazy right now. So not a expert, don't have the degree, but yes, I'm very mindful of that. But that's really good to know about traveling, because that just encouraged me more. So thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome. Yeah, we'll definitely chat more because I think like you have so much potential and I think it's such a gift. Like I know we were talking a little bit about your age and I get that it can be really stressful when you're young because it's like, well, people take me seriously, and it can be hard to network with other professionals. We talked a little bit about this before too. It can be really hard as an online business owner. And I would say even within the TPT and teacher world, especially if you do things differently. And I do things differently. And I think if you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to put yourself online, you have to be okay with knowing that not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to agree with what you do. You might have a different personality or different business model. I remember actually like a month ago, I don't know if you remember, like TPT was like, we're doing this whole profile thing and now you can do this whole about me thing. And so
Oh
everybody was like,
yeah.
everybody had like 3 weeks and they were all like feverishly trying to figure that out. And I was like, hey, I just figured out how to put a QR code in the back of the image, which is really cool because maybe a teacher can use their phone and like get you on their email list. And I thought, oh, this is really helpful. And I was so excited. And it got a lot of the YouTube video got like 200 views, which for me is a lot. Okay, that's a lot for me. But I was like, oh, okay, so people are interested in this. That shows me like, okay, I'm going to make more tutorials like this. And then I had some people saying like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, I think everybody has to make those decisions for themselves, right? Like, of course, make sure everything's above board. How you said, like your business license, your taxes. That's really cool that you're doing that. Cause I know that was one question I saw in that one thread that we were talking about. Like, how are you reporting it? It's like, well, you report just like any other income you get. Like anything I get
Yeah.
from PayPal or Venmo or whatever, it gets reported, right? Of course, I'm like tax. I'm a or was it a law-abiding citizen is what I was trying to say.
Well, I'm a
So yeah.
very follow the rule person. And this is another thing. If you don't know and you're like, how do I figure this out? Go to AI. AI will tell you anything you want to know, and it will give you a plan of like what you could reach out, what you can do too. But I do want to go back to that, like people saying like you should and you shouldn't do this. I think this is your channel. I think this is my biggest thing is like you were talking about earlier. I really do want to help teachers. That's always my fullest intention. And I feel like if you always have good intentions, your resource is going to work. It's going to work itself out. I feel like when you have bad intentions, it's just going to go flat. Something's going to go wrong in your plan. But I think when you have that positive and growth mindset, of course, and you really are trying to help teachers, I think that translates to other people. Like she really is trying. Let's give her a chance. I think for me and my age, like you were saying, I think that's one reason I have been, I don't want to be like, I'm so successful, but I think that's one reason I have grown and had the support I have, because people see that I'm like really trying from the bottom of my heart to help other friends and to really support teachers in that community. And I do want to say congratulations on the 200 views. I want to tell anyone who's watching this, one view matters, because that one view could be one person you help. And I try to like, there are videos sometimes I have that don't get as many views as I like, but I try to remind myself, there might have been one person that these people, like those views are people, and those people have opinions and have thoughts and have feelings and deserve to be seen for who they are. So my biggest thing is like, when you don't get as many views, just remember those are people who are giving you their time. And I try to be so thankful for that. So I think if you can just stay positive and keep that growth mindset and have those pure intentions, just kind of block out what everyone's saying that's like not as positive. And, if it's helpful, take it as advice. If it's not helpful, just kind of look at it and smile and like the post and move on. So, and then even respond because that helps your engagement as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's something that even I've been doing like content creation stuff and blogging since 2018. And that's something I know. And that's something I teach of like, not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to understand. I have also like, I have another, like you just said, like, I'm just going to try every day and see what happens. And I'm just going to help a teacher today. I think that's such a good mindset to have. Another thing I think is so good to like bear in mind is I am willing to be misunderstood. I am willing for people to think people misinterpret what I say or whatever. I am willing to put myself out there and be misunderstood or have someone think, oh, wow, you just think or do this because I'm like, you know what? You're totally right. Like there are some people out there who really care. Like, my YouTube channel, I tell people, I'm like, look, I do not claim to be some big mega influencer. My YouTube channel for this brand has like almost 300 subscribers, but I am so thankful for every single subscriber. Like you said, I'm thankful for everybody giving me the chance to help them because time is a premium, right? Like time is the one resource you cannot get back. So someone spending time watching my videos, listening to my podcast, reading my emails, like I am thankful for every single one. And you don't need necessarily to even have a big audience if you have a product that's solving a problem. And I think that when you're doing your writing, your copywriting and your carousel posts, you're like, are you having this problem, teacher? Okay, here's the resource for that. And like, I'm happy to help you. You're very direct and to the point. And I think that's a good thing because people understand, teachers understand, oh, she gets what I'm going through, she gets my problem, and she's got something to solve it. And I think if you're positioning yourself in that way, then people will see and they'll see that you're consistent because you do the same thing every day. And like, okay, she's serious because she's been doing this, right? She's been posting. So I think
Yeah.
I just can't believe the opportunity we have. Like you talk about investing in Apple, investing in Google. I wish I could go back in time and invest in eBay and Apple and Google, right? Like we all be billionaires or
Well,
millionaires.
here's the time right now to like do it.
Yeah, right. So it's like, why not use this time to post? And it's like, what's like you just said, what's the worst that can happen? You're totally right. Okay. So say you don't have 200,000 views, but say you get 1,000 views. That's 1,000 more people who see your resources. And even if they don't buy then, they might get on your email list. They might hire you for something else. I'll also just give another, and I think I talk about this a lot, but in case this is the first episode someone hears or listens to, my teacher brand, my teacher travel brand, I should say, excuse me, that's what I started. I started with a Facebook group and I host trips and I only have, quote unquote, only have like 5,000 people in that Facebook group. And yet I get between 10 to 40 teachers traveling with me every year. That's such a blessing and a gift, right? So that just
That's
shows
amazing that you do that.
yeah. Yeah. So the reason I share that is just because, like, I think we can get so tied up in the numbers and get kind of stressed out about that. But it's just like, how can I make relationships with these individual people? How can I solve their problems? So I think you really mastered that. And I also want to say, like, you are definitely your namesake. You are so gracious. When I see you responding to people in Facebook groups and things, and even when I was like, oh my gosh, some of these folks are giving her a really hard time. And you were just responding so kindly. And I was just like, wow, like that she is a class act. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here was one, I'm so impressed with what you're doing. I think it's so cool. And two, just the way you handle yourself so professionally. I can just tell like not only does she care, but she's willing to be misunderstood even by other sellers. So I hope
That's so
other
kind.
people
I'm
do
like smiling ear to ear because I'm not gonna lie, I am human, and sometimes when people say things that are not kind, sometimes I have thoughts. I'm like, okay, but I think the biggest thing is if you really are about helping people, like we were talking about earlier, you have to know there's some people, maybe they have trust issues, or maybe they've had a bad experience, and you really do have to like try to give them a new experience where you're just kind back. And you always teach your kids in a classroom, treat others the way you want to be treated, and turn the other cheek, be kind, and kindness matters so much. So for you to say that, it makes me smile, literally. Like it makes my heart so happy to hear, because sometimes it is hard to write like, thank you so much for your help, I'm so thankful for this advice and I'll look into it. But I will say by doing that, you're showing kindness, and I think kindness spreads, and I believe in that. So thank you for saying that, because that's always my goal, is to be kind. And I also have students that watch my channels and stuff. I want to set an example for them and say like, this is how we treat people, and this is good digital citizenship. So yeah.
Man, that's a good word right there. It's just thinking about like it is so easy to forget that. It's so weird. We forget we're talking to people online, especially when it's not in a video setting, like a Facebook group, and you're like, this is just a person's name. I don't know them really, but that is so true, right? It's like there's a person behind every single handle, behind every single screen. And like we're all fallible people, right? We all make mistakes, we all misinterpret things. It's just I think assuming the best intentions and assume and responding with kindness is so good. And I also sometimes feel that. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, this person said this. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
You
so
you
easy
can
to
get
go
caught
there.
really quickly up in it, and you really do have to count to 10 and take a second and be like, "How can you turn this into a positive?" And that is my biggest advice for any teacher is like, you might be going through something and it might stink, but just try to find a positive in it because that's going to keep you going and it's going to keep you growing as a person. So definitely.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know I showed your profile in case people were watching the video version, but in case they're not, if they're listening only, where can they go to find you to connect with you? Maybe they're also a teacher. Maybe they want to grab your drive and check it out. Where can they go to find you?
So to find me on TikTok, it's teaching underscore with underscore grace. And it's also the same for Instagram. And if anyone does want access to that teacher drive of over 2,000 pages of resources, plus all the new resources I add each week, all of 2024, you can click the link in any of those bios. And then that top link that's going to show up in my link tree, you can register there. And if you have any questions or need any support, always reach out.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you. I'll be sure to put all those links in the episode description, both on YouTube and on the podcast. Thanks again so much for coming. I will definitely chat with you like in the future because I cannot wait to see you do like a teacher tour and just meet with people online.
I really want to
Yeah.
do it. So we'll
Ah.
see.
All right. Thanks for coming.